स आदिराजो रचितान् हरिम् विलोकिन्तु नाश कदशुलोचनः न किञ्चनो वाच स बाष्पविक्लवो हृदोपगूयामुम धादवस्थिता Word-to-word translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Saha, he, Adi Raja, the original king, Rachita Anjali, with folded hands, Harim, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vilokitum, to look upon, Na, not, Asakat, was able. Ashru Lochana, his eyes full of tears. Na, not. Kinchana, anything. Uvacha, spoke. Sa, he. Baspa Vikalpa. Sorry. Vaspa Viklava. His voice being choked up. Rida, with his heart. Upaguya, embracing. Amum, the Lord. Adhat, he remained. Avasthita, standing. Translation. The original king, Maharaj Prithu, his eyes full of tears and his voice faltering and choked up, could neither see the Lord very distinctly nor speak to address the Lord in any way. He simply embraced the Lord within his heart and remained standing in that way with folded hands. Purport. Just as Krishna is addressed in Brahma Samhita as Adipurush, the original personality, so King Prithu, being an empowered incarnation of the Lord, is referred to in this verse as Adi Raja, the original or ideal king. He was a great devotee and at the same time a great hero who conquered over all undesirable elements in his kingdom. He was so powerful that he was equal in fighting to Indra, the king of heaven. He gave protection to his citizens, keeping them engaged in pious activities and devotion to the Lord. He did not collect a single cent of taxes from the citizen without being able to give them protection from all calamities. The greatest calamity in this life is to become godless and therefore sinful. If the state head or a king allows the citizen to become sinful by indulging in illicit sex life, intoxication, meat eating and gambling, then the king is responsible. And he has to suffer the resultant sequence of reactions for the sinful lives of citizens because he levies taxes on them unnecessarily. These are the principles for a ruling power, and because Maharaj Prithu observed all the principles of ruling chief, he is referred to here as Adi Raja. Even a responsible king like Maharaj Prithu can become a pure devotee of the first order. We can distinctly see from King Prithu's behavior how he became ecstatic, both externally and internally, in pure devotional service. Just today, we have seen in the newspaper of Bombay that the government is going to repeal its prohibition laws. Ever since Gandhi's non-cooperation movement, Bombay has been kept dry and has not allowed its citizens to drink. But unfortunately, the citizens are so clever that they have increased illicit distillation of liquor. And although not being sold publicly in shops, liquor is being sold in public lavatories and similar abnormal places. Unable to check such illicit smuggling, the government has decided to manufacture the liquor at cheaper prices so that the people can have their supply of intoxication directly from the government instead of purchasing it in public lavatories. The government failed to change the heart of the citizens from indulging in sinful life. So instead of losing the taxes they collect to inflate the treasury, they have decided to manufacture liquor to supply the citizens who hanker after it. The kind of government cannot check the resultant result of sinful life, namely war, pestilence, famine, earthquakes, and similar other disturbances. Nature's law is that as soon as there are discrepancies in regard to the law of God, which are described in Bhagavad Gita as dharmasya glani, or disobedience of the laws of the nature of God, nature or God, at once there will be heavy punishment in form of sudden outbreak of war. We have recently experienced a war between India and Pakistan. Within 14 days, there have been immense losses of men and money, and there have been disturbances to the entire world. These are the reactions of sinful life. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant to make people pure and perfect. If we become even partially pure, as described in Bhagavad Gita, Nashtapraya Svavadreshu, by development of Krishna consciousness, then lust and greed, the material disease of citizens will be reduced. This can be made possible simply by broadcasting the pure message of Srimad Bhagavatam or Krishna consciousness. Big commercial and industrial firms have contributed many thousands of rupees to a defense fund that burns the money into the form of gunpowder. But unfortunately, if they are asked to contribute liberally to advance the Krishna consciousness movement, they are reluctant. Under the circumstances, the world will periodically suffer from such upsurges, and outbreak of war, which are the consequences of not being Krishna conscious. Okay, translation once again. The original king, Maharaj Prithu, his eyes full of tears and his voice faltering and choked up, could neither see the Lord very distinctly nor speak to address the Lord in any way. He simply embraced the Lord within his heart and remained standing in that way with folded hands. Hare Krishna. So this is such a beautiful sloka in Srimad Bhagavatam talking about Prithu Maharaj. So Prithu Maharaj is considered to be the ideal king. Another example we can take from Shastra is Lord Sri Ram. We have like this saying of making the country as Ram Rajya. Means all the citizens are like very, very happy. Right? So as Prithu Maharaj, who is actually the incarnation of Lord himself, ruled the world very nicely. So Prithu Maharaj actually came after Vena Maharaj. Right? So all of us, we know that Vena Maharaj was one of the worst king, one of the bad king, who never supported the citizens, who never believed in God, or he was never pious. Okay, thank you. So we never believed in God, and then he used to take taxes from the citizens and then not give back to them any kind of protection or any kind of facilities. So then one day the sages, they decided, okay, let's get removed. Let's get him removed from the position. Right? But then unfortunately these days we don't have such sadhus, who had that power to remove anybody from the position. So anyway, they cursed him and then killed him. And then after killing him, they wanted to have another wonderful king. But then to their surprise, there was nobody there. He didn't have the children, he didn't have the son to act like a next king. And then they didn't find any kind of good king replacing Vena Maharaj. So they were in trouble, because after a short while, the anarchy started. Anarchy means the situation where there is no good leader. So then the sages, they decided, let's use modern science of cloning, So which we talk about cloning today, what happened long time back. So they took one cell from a strand of hair or a kind of living cell from the body of Vena Maharaj, and then they created Prithu Maharaj. What an advanced science, isn't it? But then one amazing thing is, at that time they didn't have yantras. These days we are using, if we go to the hospitals, we have big machines, which we call yantras. That was the time for mantras. Mantras, tantras, and yantras. These are the three basic level of tools we use to get the result. So those were the days of mantras. So mantra used to fulfill each and everything. We were talking with Kavichandra Maharaj, His Holiness Kavichandra Maharaj. So we were trying to discuss upon the fact that how did they build pyramid, where we can see like the stones are almost like 20 feet long, raised up to the tip of the pyramid. And these pyramids are not small. I mean, they look like a mountain in the desert, right? So then we were like discussing, and Maharaj said, of course, they use mantras. 3,500 years back, they used mantras. With mantra, they took this like stones up there. Of course, like this is not the fact, but then what else can happen? Like we can also hear like how the Govardhan was lifted and then taken to Vrindavan and all these kind of things, right? So these mantras, they are like very, very powerful. These sages use the mantras. And then less powerful than the mantra is tantra. In tantra, we use subtle bodies, right? Subtle bodies to accomplish something, and then we don't know the science actually. The modern science doesn't have any kind of like studies or any kind of proof. But then these days they have started this section called subtle science. After this quantum physics goes down to electrons, right? And then they started like doing the experiment with electron for a long time. And there is an experiment called double slit experiment, right? You must have heard double slit experiment, right? For those who are interested in science, they would know, which is devised by the scientist called Young around 1970s, 80s. But then it was not like given much importance until this today, after 2010. They found out when this double slit experiment is used to find out whether some substance is matter or wave. So there was a big discussion between the scientists whether to find out whether the electron is matter or the wave. Some of the scientists, they would say matter, some of them said wave. But then there was no particular conclusion. So they decided, okay, let's find out whether this electron is matter or wave using this double slit experiment. And to their surprise, when the electron is bombarded through this like double slit, panel, and then when the reflection comes at the back, they found that it acts like a wave. The pattern which is seen in the screen at the back is wave. So they thought, okay, let's use camera, microscopic camera, to understand how the electrons passes, and then let's see how it works. So when they used the camera, they found that the electrons, shows the pattern of a matter. So they thought that the camera must have interfered. So they used like analog camera. Somehow they devised the analog camera, and still the electron would show the matter pattern, So when they removed the camera, the electron would show the wave pattern. So they did it like quite a few times and then found out that electron is conscious. So when electron knows that, it's been observed, it shows the pattern of matter. And when the electron knows that there is no observation, then it shows the pattern of a wave. Then the scientists got like, really, really confused. And then now the quantum physics is talking about the consciousness, right? Whereas in the spiritual science, the consciousness is the hot topic, which is going on since many, many thousands of years. So I'm also like educated as a computer like engineer. But then I was like very fascinated by studying all these like sciences, all the facts and figures of the science in Srimad Bhagavatam, which I never believed in my life earlier than Krishna consciousness. So being born in a Hindu family, I was like thinking, this is like so stupid things. In this world of modern science, how could all this be possible? But then as I'm studying, when I started like studying this Srimad Bhagavatam, all these like facts and figures, the scientific evidences and everything really, really fascinated me. So it goes like very, very deep. So then getting Prithu Maharaj from the body of Bena Maharaj, this is really, really amazing thing. Of course, like in today's world, cloning is just hypothesis. They have used it, but then they are not so much successful. But then Prithu Maharaj is such a successful king. He's not only a living entity they have created from Bena Maharaj, but he's such a successful king. Studying whose nature, whose character, whose ruling power, even till date we are like, Prabhupada is saying here, explaining more about is Adi Raja. Adi Raja is a perfect king. How to become a perfect king? Somebody coming from cloning becomes a perfect king. This is amazing, right? So this kind of like things we can see in Srimad Bhagavatam. And again, coming back to Prithu Maharaj, he's been blessed by Lord Vishnu. So Lord Vishnu came to the arena where they are having this celebration program. And Lord Vishnu started blessing Prithu Maharaj. So Prithu Maharaj was like surprised, actually shocked. So I used to wonder, what if Krishna comes in front of me, all of a sudden? I used to think like that. I mean, I used to imagine, and then I would close my eyes and then imagine, and then for sure, if Krishna appears in front of me, I'll faint. I would not be able to take it. Right? So I think it's a similar situation here with Prithu Maharaj. He never expected Lord Vishnu to be there. Right? And then he's kind of like hearing all the blessings and explanations from Lord Vishnu. He's kind of, he's in ecstasy, he's mesmerized. He's like, kind of confused. Right? So, of course, like then being a pure devotee, he's embracing the Lord within his heart. I don't think I'll be able to do that if Krishna appears in front of me. I'll just faint, out of like, I'll be scared, if the Krishna comes in front. So Prabhupada is explaining about like how Prithu Maharaj is ruling the world. How he is giving facilities to the citizens. And Prabhupada's focus here is giving the citizens opportunity or education or knowledge about being Krishna conscious, right? So a real leader is that leader who will remove all the sufferings of the citizens. That's a real leader. And if we read Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, I guess, where we talk about 26 qualities, Prabhupada explains about the quality of non-violence, I remember. Right? So non-violence, he talks about is to take the suffering of the people, take the suffering away from the people. That's what is real non-violence. It's not about hurting people, but if you still allow somebody to suffer, that's still violence. So when Prabhupada talks about non-violence, he said like to take out completely someone out of suffering, right? So, and Prabhupada also says that Krishna consciousness activities are the only way to remove suffering from people 100%. So any leader who does not introduce or encourage Krishna consciousness to his citizen is not a good leader. Right? So Prabhupada is saying Prithu Maharaj here is making sure that all the citizens are Krishna conscious, or else he will not take the taxes. There is no reason for taking taxes from them. But then in today's world, a good government, good leader means to take the taxes and make nice roads, right? Give facilities, give pension, right? Give like so many different kinds of material facilities. Whereas they encourage all these, like to break all the 4 regulative principles. So I stayed almost 10 years in Thailand. I came to Australia a long time back, but then didn't like it, seeing the monotonous, hard-working lifestyle. So I thought like Thailand is better because we have like a kind of mixed Western facility with Eastern culture. So Thailand was better. So we were like, I studied there and worked there. So one day we went for a vacation, holidays. So we were driving through this highway, and then there was a big billboard, I still remember, on my left. And then it reads like big letters. It says, spoil yourself, right? Spoil yourself. And there were like so many pictures of like, intoxications and illicit sex and all these kind of things. So you must know, like, I mean, Thailand is very popular for a thing called, what they call is like smokeless industry, right? The red light areas. So when we go to those places, it's like amazing, right? Most of the foreigners, like almost like 80 years old, they come and then they are with the young girls, drinking, smoking. They call it smokeless industry, but there are lots of smokes still there, right? So, so the whole concept of the good governance today is to encourage citizens to make lots of money and then tax heavily on them, get lots of money, and then make like roads, gardens, parks. That's a good government. But then Prabhupada is talking about a government where the leader is thinking about the liberation of a citizen, a perfect like situation where the citizens are happy, citizens are practicing Krishna consciousness, and at the end of the life, they go out of this world. That's a good leadership. But then it's not like that. So I was also like thinking in my life, I was doing all sorts of things. I was working in UN, and I was like, I had my own business, and the family business is still there. All these things, didn't give me any kind of happiness. I would feel that all those things are like temporary, but then I didn't have any kind of alternative, any kind of solution until I came to Krishna consciousness, which I thought was not at all authentic or real, in those days. Being a very modern person, I would not accept Krishna consciousness, right? So when the Krishna consciousness was presented very nicely, I mean, in my language, the language I would understand, then I started like reading Bhagavad Gita and then Srimad Bhagavatam. Then I used to feel, wow, this is something very, very like interesting. The first book I read from Srila Prabhupada, I remember, is The Life Comes from Life. So for me, I mean, coming back from the science background, that was a perfect book. Srila Prabhupada would give all the logics, I mean, scientifically. We can thank Srila Prabhupada for his knowledge. I mean, he would talk about anything, any field in the world, right? He would talk and relate business, engineering, medicine, everything, whatever, anybody talks to him about anything, and Prabhupada has perfect answers, So that book really, I mean, almost like when I read about 75 pages, I remember, I thought like, wow, this is knowledge. This is something. No, one of the logic Prabhupada gives is like, there's a dead plant, dead tree. I'll give you all the chemicals. Can you make the tree alive again? And there, Dr. T.D. Singh, who later became Swarup Damodar Maharaj, right? He says, no, it's not possible. So then Prabhupada talks about the vital force of life, where it comes from the spiritual body, right? So it was very convincing. So Srila Prabhupada is also saying here, emphasizing everywhere the power of Krishna consciousness, right? The power of Krishna consciousness. So it's been 20 years I've been practicing, and then I'm feeling like, wow, it's something real, something amazing. So since 2010, me and my wife, we both decided that we'll go full-time in Krishna consciousness. Of course, like, our parents were not happy. My parents said that, oh, we spent so much money to make you an engineer, now you become Hare Krishna, what a loss, huh? So that was their idea. But then later on, they are also happy, seeing the happiness we are going through, right? And it's only possible by Krishna consciousness. But then in the beginning days, I was thinking, maybe I did the wrong choice. Today, in today's world, like it's full of like facilities to enjoy life to the fullest, right? So like even you can see the modern medicine, how it is developing, the modern medicine. The modern doctors, they say that don't follow any rules and regulations in life. You can eat any stupid food you want, just because you find them tasty. You can enjoy them to your fullest. And if anything happens, if you get disease, come to us, we'll cure it. Now we have got amazing, powerful antibiotics. So you don't have to rest, you don't have to, waste time, sitting on the bed. We'll cure you. That is the notion of like the modern medicine. Whereas Ayurveda, if you go to Ayurveda says, no, it's not about like curing, it's about prevention. So make your life disciplined so that you don't become sick. Right? So you can see all these like things which are like available to us in today's world. You can spoil yourself to any limit. But then Krishna consciousness, when I came to Krishna consciousness, I found it's completely different. Krishna consciousness is preventing us from getting indulged into all these like sinful activities. No, it was very difficult. First was quitting meat. The meat was like such a part of my eating that almost 80-90% would be meat only. But then, of course, when it was introduced, my wife, that time girlfriend, she was vegetarian. So I felt like, she's vegetarian, I'm eating meat, it's not a good thing. So let me try. But then, in front of her, I would not eat, but then I would go back home and then gobble it. Right? So like that. But later on, then when I met Patri Prabhu, a devotee, Russian devotee, right? So I became so convinced that I stopped drinking. I stopped smoking. I started like thinking all these things doesn't make sense in life. All of a sudden. It's very surprising. So all my friends who were very close with me, very close friends, they all left me because I became Hare Krishna. I quit all this like nonsense. So they left me. So I used to feel like, maybe I'm getting into Krishna consciousness too much. This is too much. I should become a little slow and let's be practical. Let's remain friends. I used to think like that. But then something from inside used to stop me. No, you cannot do that anymore. It's sinful, like that. That thing used to come. So at one point, after a few years, like it's completely, all those friends are completely gone. I'm left alone. Nobody would come and associate with me. All my old friends, So, but then after let's say 10, 15 years, they started popping up in my life. They started like showing up, and each time I meet any of my old friends from school, from colleges, from universities, some of them would cry in front of me, saying that, I'm suffering and I'm unhappy. I've got all the riches, I've got like family, friends and everything, and still I'm not happy. And I'm here, on the other side, I'm here, I have nothing, I've given up everything, and then I'm the most happy guy, right? And then they are asking how to become happy. Now, as they are getting older, it's, when I introduce Krishna consciousness to them, it's more difficult for them to practice. So then I was like thinking, wow, Srila Prabhupada really saved me. Devotees saved me. On timely I was given Krishna consciousness. All right. So this is the power of Krishna consciousness, that all the sinful activities becomes nullified. That this is what Srila Prabhupada is trying to stress here, giving the example of Prithu Maharaj. So any leader who is really, really concerned about their citizens, for their followers, and encourage them to become Krishna conscious, that's a real leader. Or else like all those leaders, even though like they give us like material facilities to any limit, they are nonsense. That's what Srila Prabhupada is trying to say that. So many times, in Nepal, we have like different kinds of leaders. One time what happened was one devotee went to Vrindavan and he came back with, he was a brahmachari, he came back with a harmonium. And then, so we asked, how did you get the harmonium? I says, one Prabhuji bought harmonium for me. And I was also sick, he also bought me one Horlicks, so that I will be healthy again. So I thought, wow, what a wonderful way to take care of devotees. So I went to Patri Prabhu, whom I would consider my authority at that time. I said, like, Patri Prabhu is such a wonderful technique. We should take care of devotees and give them like gifts like harmonium and then Horlicks. And you know what Patri Prabhu said? He said, well, if you think that is the way how things should go, you can go and follow the same leader. I don't have any money to give you all these kind of gifts. I only have Krishna consciousness to give you, no any kind of gifts. So then I was like thinking, what is he saying? I'm thinking of taking care of devotees, giving them facilities. But then I also realized that, the real gift we can give each other is Krishna consciousness, right? But then most of the time when we associate even with devotees, we associate in terms of the material benefits we are getting from each other, right? If a devotee is serving prasadam and he gives me 2 more pieces of paneer than others, nice devotee who loves me so much. But then the real devotee is that, who is like helping you to understand Krishna consciousness, who is giving you the real information where you are weak, where you are strong, based on Krishna consciousness. That's a real devotee. And many times we can also see that in temples, in ISKCON especially, right? We have like groupism, right? Groupism based on guru, groupism based on, like likes and dislikes, groupism based on race, color, creed, all these kind of things are happening, right? But then we also see that, it's not focused on Krishna consciousness, right? One time, one of my close friend, devotee friend, he did something wrong. So I went against him. I said like, this is wrong, and then it was discussed in the meeting. So later on he came out and then said, are you not my friend? I said, of course I'm your friend. So how dare you go against me in front of everybody? Then I said, I'm your friend, that's why I went against you in front of everybody. Because you're doing something nonsense which is against Krishna consciousness, and this is not beneficial for you. And you know what? After that he never talked to me. Right? But then I would consider, for me, a real friend is that person who is fully Krishna conscious, who is trying to serve Srila Prabhupada, who is trying to help each other. He's trying to help others, to go deep in Krishna consciousness. Right? So Krishna consciousness activity is such an important thing, important part of our life, where that's the only solution. Srila Prabhupada is always focusing on that. I was reading books from our acharyas, and Prabhupada books are exclusive than the books of our acharyas. Why? Because our acharyas, they would translate, they would give the purport exactly according to the slokas. And many slokas in the Vedas are not Krishna conscious. They are religious, they are dharmic, but not Krishna conscious. But then amazingly, Prabhupada books are designed and translated in such a way that each and every sloka you can find Krishna conscious purport. Right? This is amazing. So I used to think, many times I would hear that we should read Prabhupada books first. No, this is what we were told, when we joined Krishna consciousness. So I was so for so many years I was thinking, maybe Srila Prabhupada books are the basis. It's a very basic books, so that we'll understand very ABCDs of spirituality. And when we become advanced, we'll read our Acharya's books. So I was thinking when I will finish Srila Prabhupada books, so that one day I'll become advanced devotee by reading our Acharya's books. But when I did, commentary of Jiva Goswami or Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, I found those books are more, less, intense than Srila Prabhupada books. Srila Prabhupada books are very, very intense because he talks about the highest level of Krishna consciousness. He is talking about directly the last point of Krishna consciousness. The last point of bhakti, last point of all the religious practices. He's not wasting our time. Because in Kali Yuga, he says that we are short-lived. Manda sumanda manda bhagya, We are unfortunate, and we don't have time. And we are bombarded with so many material, activities, material attractions, like mobile phones, You can spend hours and hours with a mobile phone. And when you start reading books, any Krishna conscious books, within 5 minutes you'll start yawning. It's boring, like that. So every moment we are like bombarded with like something which is against Krishna consciousness. But then Srila Prabhupada books, even we read, like Prabhupada is so confident. He's saying even anyone reads one sloka, one word, he will become Krishna conscious. Prabhupada was so confident because he's inducing like Krishna conscious everywhere. Yeah. Here Vyasadeva is talking about Maitreya Muni. He's talking about Prithu Maharaj, his feelings. Right? When he saw like Lord Vishnu, and then when he heard from Lord Vishnu, Maitreya Muni is explaining how he's feeling inside, And Prabhupada is talking about Krishna conscious. How should a leader become a Krishna conscious and make all the citizens Krishna conscious? And not only this sloka, every sloka. You read like Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 3, right? Krishna talks about Karma Yoga. And what is Karma Yoga? What is Karma Yoga? What do we do? What do we do in Karma Yoga? Sorry? That's Karma Kanda. Right? So Karma Yoga, I mean, when we read Prabhupada books, he says that, you act, but then you renounce the result to Krishna. Right? So he says like you do any kind of action, but then you give the results to Krishna. Right? Then later on, after about 12 years, I came to know that Karma Yoga is not that. Karma Yoga means just to renounce the result. Nothing to do with Krishna. So Karma Yoga is you act, then give up the result, right? But Prabhupada is already introducing Karma Mishra Bhakti in chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita. So same with chapter 4, Jnana Mishra Bhakti. Already, Prabhupada is already introducing like bhakti everywhere. I gave Bhagavad Gita to one of my friends, and then later on we met, and I said, how do you find the book? He said, like, very wonderful. But then the writer is talking about Krishna and Hare Krishna and all the way. He's only talking about bhakti, 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 bhakti. I told him, yeah, you read it very correctly. Now that's what Srila Prabhupada has done for us. Now he's inducing like Krishna consciousness everywhere. But then we are so stupid. I can see many of our devotees not interested in Krishna consciousness. They are more interested in Jnana Yoga or Karma Yoga than Bhakti. Prabhupada is talking about like complete surrender to the lotus feet of the Lord. And we are saying, no. We have to follow all the Vedic rituals. For example, Ekadasis. We are so concerned about Ekadasis these days. So in Nepal also it's very popular that this Nirjala Ekadasi, which is coming up. It's very popular that in Nirjala Ekadasi we don't like drink even water and all these kind of things. So then I think it was last year I was in Thailand. So Thailand is really super hot there, So I was like struggling not drinking, water and then fasting, Then in the evening, there was a class in the center, and then all of a sudden devotees started going inside the kitchen and cooking. I said, what's going on? Why are they cooking? So I went inside the kitchen. I said, why are you cooking? He said, Prabhu, we are going to take prasadam. Really? But today is Nirjala Ekadasi. Really, Prabhu? Today is Nirjala Ekadasi? They don't know it's Nirjala Ekadasi. So then, okay, I thought like poor people, they don't know Nirjala Ekadasi. So after a while, Prabhu Vishnu Maharaj came, so he was there, and then, so I was sitting with him, and when it was prasadam time, he was also sitting in the line, and then about to take prasad. I said, Maharaj, today is Nirjala Ekadasi, isn't it? Oh yeah. He said, yeah. But you're going to take prasadam. And he looked at me and said, you're not going to take prasadam? Right? You're not going to take prasadam? Maharaj, actually today is Nirjala Ekadasi, we're not supposed to. Prabhupada never told that. He said, Prabhupada never told that. He would say that Ekadasi to fast from grains. That's all. So you're not taking prasadam? I was thinking I will sit with you and take prasadam. So I said, okay, Maharaj, if you like, I would do that. So I sat with him and took prasadam. So what I'm trying to say here is like the whole concept of fasting and doing all this thing is to make us Krishna conscious. But then what I realized back there in Nepal, that devotees are doing Nirjala Ekadasi, and the whole day what they are talking about is water. Prabhu, water. Prabhu, are you feeling good without water? Prabhu, tomorrow we are going to have so many juices. Orange juice, mango juices. The whole day they are talking about is how difficult it is to fast and all these kind of things. But then Srila Prabhupada would say, drink water. Better you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That is Krishna consciousness. But then the fasting, without thinking about Krishna, we are fasting. It's like amazing. We are like doing so hard work. But we don't think about Krishna. That is not Krishna consciousness. That is Dharma. So Prabhupada is saying Dharma is lower than Bhakti. And somehow we are so intelligent that we like Dharma more than Bhakti. Bhakti is so simple. Surrender yourself to Guru and Gauranga. So simple. So simple. Prabhupada said Bhakti is so simple, you can miss it. But then these days we see that like those devotees who know Shastra, who can give slokas, who can speak about like things, we think that they are pure devotees. No, they are jnanis. They have taken the jnana aspect. And we don't see like if devotee is washing dishes and cleaning temples, small devotee. But who knows? That devotee has more love for Krishna inside than those who is sitting on Vyasasana like me and giving class. And the next level there is like Kirtaniyas. Okay? The best is one who can sit on the Vyasasana and give class. And the next is, who is singing Hare Krishna Mahamantra. I've seen many devotees who is singing Mahamantra almost like 6, 7, 10 hours every day, singing, And then he's singing. And as soon as there's a beautiful Mataji sitting beside, again, I should sing more better. Right? So, just singing is not enough. There's a sloka, very famous sloka. Bahu janma kariyadi shravanadi kirtan. Tabitana paya Krishna pade prem dan. We can sing Mahamantra for many, many, not hours, not months, right? Not years, many, many lifetime, and still we cannot get Krishna. Right? It's very, very strange actually. We are chanting, I'm chanting, but I'm not going to get Krishna. What are you talking about? Right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Hare Nama Iva Kevalam. I'm doing the Hare Nama Iva Kevalam. Prabhu, can you please clean the floor? Prabhu, I'm chanting, can't you see? I'm doing the topmost class of bhakti, service. But then we don't understand what bhakti exactly is. So it's very important, how Srila Prabhupada is giving us all the formulas, how to get back to Godhead very quickly, without much endeavor, with all the mercy. Right? So he's inducing Krishna consciousness everywhere. But we are stupid. We are like idiots. We are not seeing that. We are not valuing it. And then we are diverted to different, like sections, different parts of like things, starting from our material life, material connections, even in ISKCON and all these places. We are like, trying to practice all the stupid things, unnecessary things, without practicing Krishna consciousness. Okay, so I think this is all I have to say today. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'll try to. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you. Mm-hmm. 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 I think Daksha. Daksha is also like, it's like, Daksha means like expert, perfect. So Daksha also says like, it's ideal. Prabhupada, the real meaning of Adi is original, right? But then Prabhupada translated as like ideal. He's ideal king because he's giving Krishna consciousness to the citizens. So that's why Prabhupada, I think, would use ideal as a synonym for Adi, which is original. So in many places, yeah, Prabhupada would do that. Each time he sees that someone is giving Krishna consciousness, yes. Okay, thank you very much, Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.